Welcome back to the show. Today we have Alan Amron. He's the inventor of the press-on memo, today known as the Post-it note. He's also the co-founder of First Down Laser Systems. Alan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Kevin. Nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you back on the show. We had you on the radio show a while ago, and we kind of covered your background and all your inventions and whatnot. But maybe before we kind of get into exactly what First Down Laser is, let's just kind of quickly give a quick overview of your background.
Okay, well, I started inventing in 1972. 1973 is when I invented the first press-on memo, which is today known as the Post-it note.
Right.
And I invented in the same year the battery-operated water gun, which went on to make hundreds of millions of dollars, as opposed to the press-on memo, which made billions of dollars in sales.
Sure.
And then from there, I developed different kinds of systems, like for hospitals, blood banks, and temperature monitoring equipment. Every year or so, I'd invent a couple of other different items for industry. And usually I would license them. I wouldn't manufacture them and sell them myself. I would license them. And I along the way, I did, around that time, I also asked everybody in the world to send me $1 because the Beatles had just broken up. And I was going to be the guy to get the Beatles back together again. So I ran an ad in the Village Voice in New York City. I put in a small ad that only cost a few $100s, asking everybody in the world basically for $1. I started the International Committee to Reunite the Beatles. And the reason I'm saying it, it was kind of interesting because that was like basically an invention, a great idea, a way of asking everybody in the world to send you $1. And then a Rolling Stone actually took the ad that I ran that I paid for, and they put it in an op-ed piece, and they ran it all over the world. And then I had people from Germany and Brazil and France, and everybody sending me money from all over the world to get the Beatles back together again. So I did weird things like that throughout my whole life, coming up with unique ideas of trying to make money.
Sure. So how did you kind of come up with the First Down Laser?
Well, the First Down Laser, I was like everybody else. When I watched football on TV, I saw the yellow graphic. I didn't know it was the yellow graphic until one day I went to a game. I'm sitting in the stadium, and everybody around me is asking, where's the yellow line? How come we can't see the yellow line? Then we figured it out that it's not really there. It's on a graphic on TV. Okay. So I went home that night, and I thought about how I would be able to project a line on the field in daylight. And regular light wouldn't work. LEDs wouldn't work because the sun would be too bright and would wash it out. So I went to lasers. Lasers could be very bright, brighter than the sun. They're not safe, so you have to make it safe. So what we did was we developed a safe projected laser that actually comes from the stadium lights and points down at the field and is able to produce a line on the field so everybody in the stadium and everybody on the field could see it, and at home.
Okay, very cool. So what do you do to a laser to make it safe, just out of curiosity?
Well, lasers are safe when they're within the FDA has a division called the CDRH.
Okay.
The CDRH oversees people that do laser light shows in America. And
okay.
They have guidelines to make it so that they can declare it safe. And the guidelines are when you have a 4-inch line going across a 53-point-something yards across a football field, the square inch of that line has to measure a certain light candle. Anything more than that, they consider dangerous. So we have to make each 1/4 inch of that line safe enough so nobody could get hurt when they look at the light.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. So you kind of cover this quickly, but what exactly does it do for people that don't really maybe understand football or the problem that you guys are solving?
Well, first of all, it allows the people in the stadium, the fans, to come to the game and watch the game. And every single play has the goal of getting over the first down line. That's the primary objective in football, is to first get over the first down line, move the chains, and then get a touchdown. So you have like 50, 60 advances to get to first down line before you get a touchdown in some cases. So the fans at home get to see the yellow line and understand every single play how far they have to go to get the first down. In the stadium, they have no idea. As a matter of fact, Jerry Jones built a stadium in Texas, and he built a big, gigantic television screen in the middle of the stadium, specifically so people in the stadium could see the yellow line that's projected on TV because it's a way of them referencing where the next play is going to. So for the players and for the people on the field and the people in the stadium, it's very important. For safety wise, it's also important for the player that's running with a football and he puts his hand out like that and stretches his neck out that way to see where the first down is, to see if he made it, and he gets sideswiped and he could get a serious injury from that. So with our first down laser in front of him, he's able to tuck and hold that football so he could just bull ahead and not have to worry about being exposed and getting an injury. So there's a lot of different reasons why the first down laser would be great for football.
Interesting. So how are you going about kind of getting this into the game?
Well, first, what I did was in most of my inventions, I try to find somebody that's very high up in the industry.
Okay.
I partnered with the voice of the NFL, Pat Summerall.
Okay. How did you reach out to him, or did you know him?
Well, no, I didn't know him before, but I had been a signatory agent with the Writers Guild. That might be a little confusing because I'm an inventor and I also did some Hollywood stuff. Being a signatory agent with the Writers Guild, I represented this FBI agent in Texas.
Okay.
The FBI agent, his name was Mike Burns. Mike Burns happened to have been the brother-in-law to Pat Summerall.
Oh, nice.
So when I invented the first down laser thing, the first thing I thought of was I got to bring this to Pat Summerall. He's the voice of the NFL. So I called Mike Burns. Mike set up a meeting with Pat Summerall. Pat loved the idea. So he took me the next day. I went into the NFL and met with the commissioner of football. Okay. So that's how fast he got it in there.
That's amazing. So where did you have to go? Did you have to travel to go meet with the commissioner, or where did you have to go for that meeting?
Well, the meeting with Pat Summerall, it just so happened he was coming into New York that particular weekend because he was being honored by CBS Sports.
Oh, amazing!
He was getting this award. Yeah. So he came in, and I went up to his hotel room, and he was wearing a bathrobe the first time I ever met him. And I went in, and we started talking about this. I explained it to him. I demonstrated it for him in his room. And he sent me the next day. I was in Boca Raton, Florida, at an owners meeting, and they call it the competition committee meeting for the NFL. They hold it once or twice a year, looking at new product. And he had me in there. I was in front of like 6 owners. I was in front of like 12 different coaches. It was just absolutely amazing how fast I went in there with it.
Sure. And how long did you get to pitch your idea?
Well, they were because it was Pat Summerall, it was almost like Pat Summerall was my father and I was his son, and they were like doing him a favor and listening to me, you know. So when I went up in front of the competition committee, they gave me all the time they needed. They didn't rush me because Pat was sitting right next to me. So it didn't take long. I had a video I made to demonstrate it. I showed them some lasers I brought with me, how it would work. The head of the NFL's umpires was there. Thank God. And he answered a lot of really good questions that I had. And then we worked together pretty much to how it would be best for the game.
Okay. So what came out of this meeting then?
Well, like anything else with the NFL, everything that goes into an NFL meeting takes another 3 to 5 to 7 years till it's implemented. Like overhead cam that they have now took them 8 years from the day they showed it to the competition committee to being used.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, instant replay. Even this year, they go over instant replay every year, and it took them 7 or 8 years to get it implemented in the NFL. So it takes time.
Why does it take so long? Like, it seems like if they want it, they should just, like, obviously they can afford to put pretty much anything into the game, right? Maybe next season or the following season. Why does it take so long for them to kind of get something into the game?
They have such a valuable asset in the NFL logo and the NFL game,
right,
that they don't want to take any chances at all that whatever they're going to implement is not going to work or it's going to embarrass them. So they take their time, and as a matter of fact, with us, they want us to try it out in Canadian football first, or they want us to try it out in college football first. Then they could say, okay, come on in here and let's do it. So, and it's logical. They got a big brand. They don't want to hurt.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So have you been kind of trying it out in either the Canadian Football League or college yet, or kind of where are you at with this whole thing?
Well, we did the NCAA National Championship track and field for 2 years in a row a couple of years ago to demonstrate it to the NCAA that it's safe and that it works and it does really good. Like in the long jump, we put a line. The furthest jump the guys did, we put a line there. So the next jumper knew how far he had to be.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the athletes were saying to us that because they were able to visualize the line that they had to beat, they actually jumped a foot further than they've ever jumped in their life before because they really had to like just get over it, and the incentive they had was much greater. We used it for the shot put, we used it for the long jump, the triple jump, the javelin, and the hammer. And it was successful. The fans loved it. They were able to see the line on the field. ESPN was able to see it on TV, and the NCAA saw it work. That wasn't enough for the NFL, though, because they needed to see it in a game. And so our next step is to get it into football and let the NFL see it.
Got you. Okay. So it's interesting. So you're basically building something for sports, not just obviously the NFL, because if it works in track and field, you could move it into other sporting events and potentially even other industries, right?
Well, yeah, we're doing it in, you say, different sports. We're doing it in soccer here in Europe. I'm meeting with Pfeiffer and
Okay.
different. Yeah, we could show them. They actually use foam when they have to circle the ball to show the free kick zone, which is so silly.
They use
But they
what?
do.
Sorry,
They
foam, did
they
you
use
say?
shaving cream. They
Really?
use shaving, yeah, and they put a circle around the ball, and nobody can go near that or around that or something like that. And then they have an offside line that's invisible to the coaches and the players and the fans. And we could show them that offside line and follow the players the way the offside line is supposed to move up and down the field. So we could use it in soccer. In industrial use, our laser is being used in warehouses where we actually could take the cautionary yellow lines there, actually have to strip and paint every couple of weeks now, and we could actually eliminate that by projecting lasers from the ceiling to the ground, yellow lines that would go around just like the yellow painted lines. So
Oh,
they're
interesting.
really not, they're there, but they're really not lines that you could ride over and have to restrip and paint again. So that was brought to us for use of our laser by Stanley Black and Decker, a warehouse in North Carolina. They asked if it was possible. We went down to the warehouse and demonstrated it for them. So that's another use of our projection safe lasers.
Sure. So, like, obviously, if there's going to be potentially what in like the warehouse example you just gave, there's probably hundreds of lasers, or just like 10, 20. Like, how many
Well,
would you put in a warehouse?
it depends on the size of the warehouse,
Okay,
of course.
sure.
But for example, let's say you had a small warehouse. I
Okay,
could mount our lasers the way they are is we mount a projector in the ceiling
okay,
and we aim it down at the ground.
okay.
And that'll do a 50-foot line by 4 inches wide. Now, if you want it thinner or
Okay,
wider, we could do that. So now
sure.
that's one line. Then I could extend that 50 feet by going to the next laser 50 feet away that gives me the next 50. Then I can make a right turn, and then I can make a left turn, and then I could, so on, so on, and so on. So we manufacture one projection laser that they use throughout the warehouse, and as big as the warehouse is, that's how many lasers you mount in the ceiling. And
I
they're all low voltage. They all work on 24, 6 volts. Lasers now in this world are no longer 220 volts or 440 or triple phase. Now they're all battery operated lasers.
I got you. So, and how are they controlled? Through the computer, through software? Do you have to manually do it, or a bit of both?
Well, we have two variations of our patents that we're filing that cover a computerized version, which is very expensive, because
Sure.
then I could move those lines around the warehouse. I could change where they go. I could welcome a different company that's coming in for a tour of the warehouse. That's a little expensive. The cheaper version is we project one laser from the ceiling, aimed down. We focus it, we leave it, you turn it on, you turn it off. You could leave it on 24 hours a day, or you could have a switch at one end of the aisle that shuts them all off at the same time or all on at the same time.
I got you. Okay. Is there, what's the maintenance on that? Like, do they get so many hours before you have to replace them, or how does that work when you're, like when you're, like, like I know TVs, right? Like they burn out, like the LCD TVs burn out at some point. Like, do these things burn out? Do you have to do maintenance on them, or how does that work?
Well, they're all plug and play, so
Okay.
that if some part of it breaks, like the battery part, the connecting part, the transformer part, or the bulb itself, that's the laser part, or the anything that's in there is all modularized. So
Okay.
we
Very
could
cool.
have them even take the whole projector out, send it to us, we send them another projector, they plug it in.
Got
If
you.
we say that the projectors lasers are going to last 5 years on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It should last 5 years.
That's a long
And
time,
that's
yeah.
the way our premise. Yeah, 5 years is a long time.
So where are you guys getting these manufactured? Did you have to go get a bunch of prototypes built out of like China, for example, or how walk me through the manufacturing process a little bit?
Okay, China makes lasers, no question about it, but
Sure.
we have to make ours in America because we need lasers made in China are not exactly safe.
Okay.
We make the lasers in Seattle, Washington,
Oh,
and
interesting.
yeah, that's where we're going to manufacture them. That's where we're making them. They're designed out there. That's where our main office is, and we're going to actually keep it here in America because we need to control the quality.
Sure. So do you have to go out to Seattle a few times a year to kind of check on things, or now that it's running, it doesn't really matter?
You know, we used to go out to Seattle and test it in Husky Stadium. You know,
Okay.
that was our testing ground. They were very nice at the university to let us use their stadium for all our tests. But we don't really, you know, everything is pretty much with emails and communication is
Sure.
so nowadays that we really don't have to travel. If anything, like for example, my crew from Seattle comes to North Carolina and we do our
Ah,
demonstration there,
got
or
you.
they'll come to New York for the NFL or things like that. So basically, we travel.
I got you. No, that makes a lot of sense. So how did you find somebody in Seattle to actually do the manufacturing?
You know, it's funny. When I first invented this a number of years ago, I checked with every single laser company that I can get my hands on through, and it wasn't Google 10 years ago. So I had to like go into the phone book and figure out who's a good laser guy. And every laser company said to me, you can't put a laser out on a field in the bright sunlight. Nobody will see it. You're wasting your time, your money, and we're not interested.
Okay.
So finally, after 10 or 15 laser companies around the country, I found a guy in California who said, if you'll give me $5,000, I'll go out to Husky Stadium and I'll show you it doesn't work. I said, you know what? I'll pay you $5,000. Show me it doesn't work. At least I'll know whether it works or not. So
Sure.
he went out to the stadium, Husky Stadium. I flew out there. He set up a 50 YAG laser on one side of the field and a 50 YAG laser on the left side. First, he just put one on, just to show me that, hey, why are we wasting our time? Turned on the laser, and it didn't work. We couldn't see it. It was bright sun out, and then in Seattle, it's kind of hard to find a bright sun because it's raining
Sure.
all
You
the
got
time.
lucky, yeah?
But yeah, that's my luck. It was like the sunniest day they ever had in Seattle. But that's okay. I needed to see whether it worked. So it didn't work. And then I said to the guy, okay, put the other side on. I was just being curious, and I was paying for it. So I said, put the other 50-watt YAG on as well. I'd like to see what happened. So the guy says, okay, you go to lunch. We'll put the other laser on, and we'll put them over on top of each other, and we'll double it up, and let's see what happens. He says, it's still not going to work, but I'll try it. And this is a very good laser guy who invented the newest lasers around at that time 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So I went to lunch. As soon as we got to lunch, we ordered lunch. And before we started to eat, the lunch came to the table. We were ready to start to eat. The phone rings. I pick it up. And it's one of the guys at the stadium said, you got to come over here now. It works. And I left the lunch. We paid the check. We got out of there really quick. We went over to the stadium. And the first thing I saw when I saw a green laser line going across a beautiful green football field for the first time ever, anybody saw that, I said, lime green Ferraris for everyone. I was like the happiest guy in the world. So yeah, that's how we proved it. And that's how he ended up being my manufacturer.
Okay, that's very cool. So that's awesome. It's his company that manufactures this now then, correct?
Well, he sold his company since then. It's a new guy
Okay.
that owns it.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm pretty loyal. I like to stay with people because, you know, I don't like to start all over again. And they're nice guys, and we've been getting along all these years. So we stayed with them.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a great kind of story. And I love the fact that, you know, you were kind of told no by people in the industry and you were just like, well, show me, prove me wrong.
Right.
I love that.
And I was willing to pay $5,000 to learn whether I was right or wrong because, you know what? They don't know. He never aimed a laser on the ground in the sun in his life. All he did was aim them at night in the dark doing
Sure,
laser light
sure.
shows. So how did he really know? He didn't know. And I certainly didn't know, but I was willing to try to see if it worked.
Sure, but even just when we chatted before, like it seemed like that was kind of a little bit of your whole career, a little bit, right? People would tell you no, it couldn't happen, and you were just like, well, you know, let's keep trying, or like prove me wrong, right? And you know, in a lot of cases, it's worked out for you, obviously.
Well, that's the thing. You know, 98% of all patents in the world make no money at all.
Okay.
So you got an uphill battle starting no matter what you're doing in the world with a new product. Even if you get a patent, you got a 2% chance of making any money. I've been very lucky in my life. I've made money on pretty much half of all my 40 patents that I have. What I teach at these lectures here, I have video of newscasters looking at my inventions for the first time and saying stuff like, and there's silly inventions like this battery operated water gun. And I show that at my lectures here. This is a true news story in New York in 1970, 80, 73 or something like that. And then in 1980, I made millions of dollars from it. So, what do they know? They think they know, but they really don't.
Sure. That's amazing. But we're kind of coming to the end of the show, so maybe let's close the show with mentioning where people can get more information about yourself and the First Down Laser.
Okay, well, First Down Laser is easy. It's firstdownlaser.com. That's FIRSTDOWN.com. First Down Laser. I'm sorry, I left out the laser. LASER. Lasers with an S. So it's firstdownlaser.com. Or they can email me at alanamron@yahoo.com. That's ALANAMRON@yahoo.com. And I'll be happy to answer anyone and help anyone that's interested in doing their own projects.
Perfect. Well, Alan, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day and enjoy your lectures, and look forward to keeping in touch with you. And, we'll talk soon.
Terrific, Kevin. Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Later.
Thank you, you too.
Bye.